The most disorienting experience for many men in relationships isn't a major fight or a discovered betrayal. It's the sudden, silent, and seemingly inexplicable shift in a woman's warmth. It feels like a rug pulled out from under your emotional feet. One day she is fully present and engaged. Her texts are frequent and affectionate. She seeks your physical touch, holding your hand tightly as if you're her anchor. And she verbally affirms her need for you, painting you as a central figure. In her world, the connection feels tangible, secure, and intensely real. Then, often without a single defining argument or obvious misstep, the atmosphere changes. The very next day, she's quiet. Her responses are brief and distant. The physical warmth is withdrawn, and an emotional coldness seems to radiate from her. The person who made you feel like her entire universe now makes you feel utterly invisible. The immediate, almost reflexive male reaction is to internalize this change completely. The mind, wired for problem-solving, kicks into overdrive, launching a frantic forensic audit of recent events. You replay every conversation, dissecting tone, and word choice for a hidden meaning you might have missed. You scrutinize your actions, wondering if a forgotten chore, a poorly timed joke, or a moment of inattention was the fatal error that caused this freeze. You become convinced you failed in some crucial way, that you were blind to a sign she gave. This logical cause and effect search for a reason is a fundamentally male response to emotional chaos. When no clear answer emerges, the narrative often darkens. You start to believe she has suddenly revealed a cruel, calculating nature, that she is the villain in this story. But this entire internal process, while understandable, is based on a flawed premise that her behavior is a direct and logical consequence of your actions. The truth is far more complex and significantly less personal. This shift is rarely about a single thing you did or didn't do. It is not a calculated punishment designed to hurt you. To view it as such is to misunderstand the fundamental nature of female emotional circuitry. At its core, this withdrawal is instinctual. It is a primal, pre-programmed response that operates on a level deeper than conscious thought or rational decision-making. It is a biological and emotional reflex honed over millennia, not a deliberate strategy. Recognizing that this change is driven by instinct rather than malice is the first and most critical step toward navigating it, without losing your own center. To truly grasp why this shift occurs, one must first move beyond the simplistic framework of right and wrong, of cause and effect, and appreciate the fundamental difference in emotional design between men and women. Men are largely linear in their emotional expression. When we love, it is a steady, consistent state. Our commitment is a decision we make and then hold to, like a course plotted on a map. Our emotional world is often built on a foundation of logic and steadfastness. We value consistency and see deviation from it as a sign that something is broken and needs to be fixed. This linearity is our strength, providing stability and predictability, but it also becomes our greatest point of confusion when faced with a different operating system. Women, by their very nature, are not linear, but cyclical. Their emotional and psychological reality is a wave, with natural peaks and troughs influenced by a complex interplay of biology, intuition, and environment. Their moods, their capacity for affection, and their sense of connection are not fixed points but moving currents. They rise and fall with hormonal rhythms, with subtle shifts in their feelings, and, most critically, with their ever-changing moment-to-moment perception of safety. This safety isn't just physical, it is deeply emotional. It encompasses feeling seen, heard, valued, and secure in the strength of the bond and the reliability of their partner. This cyclical nature is the reason. You can feel like her entire world one day and a stranger the next. It is not a manipulative game or a sign of a fickle heart. It is simply her reality. Her warmth is a direct reflection of her internal state. When she feels safe, appreciated, and emotionally connected, she is open, vulnerable, and radiantly warm. However, if something triggers a feeling of being threatened, whether by a real instance of neglect, a perceived slight, a lingering insecurity, or even a narrative constructed entirely in her own imagination, her instincts command a retreat. This is a defense mechanism, a primal reaction honed over millennia for survival. In ancient times, a woman's survival depended on her ability to constantly and subconsciously evaluate her security and the reliability of her protector. That wiring remains. This shift can happen in a flash because instinct does not wait for a committee meeting or a rational pro-con analysis. It operates at the speed of feeling. Single word, a tone of voice, a memory triggered by a current event, or a simple feeling of being taken for granted can flip that instinctive switch. It bypasses the conscious mind entirely. This is why the change can feel so abrupt and inexplicable. There is no slow, logical buildup that a linear mind can track. One moment the connection is open, the next, the portcullis has slammed shut. Understanding that this behavior is rooted in a deep biological imperative for self-protection and assessment, rather than in a conscious decision to inflict pain. It's the crucial reframe that allows a man to stop personalizing the coldness and start responding to it effectively. Expand Chapter 3 in 500 words. No add heading asterisk. When a woman's warmth recedes and is replaced by a palpable coldness, the immediate assumption is that love has been withdrawn, a punishment for some unknown failure. But this interpretation, though emotionally compelling, misunderstands the deeper mechanics at play. Her distance is not the end of something. It is an evaluation. It is an instinctual test, not of your worth as a person, but of the authenticity of your strength. Her subconscious, operating on primal frequencies, is asking one relentless question. Is his stability real, or does it require my constant warmth to exist? She isn't consciously engineering a trial. Rather, her biology is assessing whether the man she has chosen can remain unwavering when her own emotional world is in flux. This test probes the very core of your frame. Can you endure her emotional winter without collapsing into neediness? Can you maintain your purpose and identity when her affirmation is withdrawn? Or is your confidence a performance that shatters the moment her validation disappears? Her instinct is wired to detect fragility, because throughout history, her survival depended on a partner whose resolve was independent of her emotional states. Your reaction to her coldness provides the answer. Most men fail catastrophically because they respond from a place of panic and scarcity. They chase. They send long, pleading messages. They seek reassurance, becoming visibly shaken and emotionally unmoored. In doing so, they confirm her deepest misgivings, that his strength was conditional. A mask that fell away the moment she changed her tone. The man who understands the test does the opposite. He recognizes that logic is useless against instinct. He does not chase. He does not plead. He remains calm and grounded, redirecting his focus inward to his own mission, responsibilities, and well-being. He allows her coldness to exist without allowing it to destabilize him. This isn't indifference, it's emotional sovereignty. By refusing to be shaken, he demonstrates that his strength is inherent, not borrowed. Her instinct, which triggered the coldness as a protective measure, now registers his steadiness as safety. Her withdrawal was a question. His unwavering composure is the answer. And in that stillness, something shifts within her. She begins to question her own reactions. She wonders why he isn't frantic, why he isn't trying to win her back. This curiosity transforms into respect, and respect reignites attraction. He ceases to be someone she needs to test and becomes someone she can trust. The natural, panic-driven impulse, when faced with her coldness, is to act, to do something. Anything, to restore the previous warmth and connection. This impulse is the siren song that leads most men onto the rocks. Your fear will scream that. You must text long paragraphs, explaining your love and loyalty, that you must call repeatedly to verbally argue her out of her feelings, that you must present a logical case for why her coldness is a mistake. You will be tempted to offer gifts, promises, and grand gestures in a desperate attempt to fix what feels broken. This approach is not only ineffective, It is actively destructive. You cannot use reason to debate an instinct, nor can you use effort to bargain with a primal emotion. Trying to do so is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Your actions only intensify the very reaction you hope to extinguish. The correct path is the exact opposite of this chasing impulse. It is the practice of purposeful stillness. When she goes cold, your most powerful move is not to advance toward her, but to hold your ground. This does not mean giving her the silent treatment as a punishment, but rather entering a state of calm, focused detachment. Your energy and attention must pivot away from monitoring her emotional temperature and toward reinforcing the structures of your own world. This means diving deeper into your mission, whether that is your career, a creative project, or a physical goal. It means maintaining your routines, hitting the gym with more purpose, and investing in your friendships. It is the act of proving, through your actions, that your sense of purpose and self-worth is not contingent upon her approval or affection in this moment. This strategic stillness creates a powerful vacuum. By not chasing, you allow her to fully experience the consequences of her own withdrawal. She is left sitting in the emotional environment she created, without your desperate attempts to shield her from it, or to distract her from her own feelings. This is where the magic happens. She begins to feel the stark contrast between her internal storm and your external calm. She notices the absence of your attention, which she previously could take for granted. Your lack of reaction forces her instinctual mind to recalibrate. If her coldness was a test to see if she could shake you, your unwavering stability provides the answer. She cannot. This doesn't compute on a subconscious level for her, because it contradicts the expected outcome. This contrast or solidity against her volatility becomes irresistibly compelling. Humans are psychologically wired to move towards stability and away from chaos. When she perceives that your emotional center of gravity is independent of hers, you transform from a source of neediness into a source of security. Your stillness is not empty. It is full of unspoken strength. It communicates that you are not afraid of her emotions, that you trust in the foundation of the connection enough to give it space, and that you possess an inner fortitude that makes you a reliable partner. This is what draws her back. Return is not something you pull towards you with effort, but something you allow to happen by being an unmovable pillar. She moves back toward you not because you begged, but because you're quiet. Unshakable presence became the most attractive and safe place for her to be. You win not by conquering her storm, but by refusing to be swept away by it. The ultimate mastery in navigating a relationship is not found in controlling another's emotions, but in achieving complete sovereignty over your own. This final understanding reframes her coldness from a terrifying threat to a revealing mirror. It no longer reflects your inadequacy, but rather your level of discipline, self-worth, and emotional fortitude. Weak men confuse her warmth for love itself and interpret her coldness as the permanent loss of that love. Their sense of value becomes parasitically attached to her affection, and they base their entire identity on her approval. They love when it is there, but they completely collapse when it is not. This dependency is the antithesis of strength, and it is precisely what her instinct is designed to detect and reject. The strong man operates from a different core truth. He knows that both warmth and coldness are passing seasons emotional, weather patterns that do not change the fundamental climate of his own value. He does not attach his self-worth to her emotional state. He can appreciate and enjoy her warmth when it is present, but he does not disintegrate in its absence. This is not stoic indifference. It is a profound and secure detachment. It is the understanding that his purpose, mission, and identity are separate from the relationship. This very detachment is what makes him powerful and, ironically, deeply attractive. Because the man who does not fear her coldness is the man she intuitively knows she cannot manipulate or control. He is immune to her tests. This brings us to the great paradox. When you stop fearing the winter, you often become the sun that melts it. By not chasing, by not panicking, by not appearing desperate for her to return to her warm state, you create a space of absence. This absence is not a void of need, but a space of mystery and self-respect. She begins to feel the lack of your attention which she had come to expect. She wonders why you are not reacting like every other man she has known. She is forced to confront the reality that her emotional withdrawal does not govern your emotional state. This introspection is powerful. Just as quickly as her instinct, flipped into coldness for protection, it can flip back into warmth when it perceives undeniable strength. Her return is not because you begged her back, but because you gave her the gift of longing and the space to miss the man who remains unshaken. Therefore, the mistake of believing that coldness means the love is gone forever is a catastrophic error in judgment. Coldness is temporary, like clouds passing over the sun. If you panic during the cloud cover, you will never witness the light return. Women can flip back into warmth as quickly as they flipped into coldness, but only if you do not destroy the attraction and respect by overreacting. If you chase her when she's cold, you teach her that her distance controls you. But if you wait with unwavering composure, if you keep your house warm and your ground steady, she will often return with even more genuine respect than before. You will have proven you are the kind of man who can handle her extremes. And that is the highest form of safety you can provide. Mastery is realizing you cannot control her instincts, but you can always command your response. Your response is everything. By staying warm in your own strength, by being dedicated to your purpose, grounded in your value, and calm in your center, you cease to be a victim of her cycles. You become the steady, non-reactive ground upon which a genuine and lasting connection is built. You stop trying to decode what cannot be decoded and start focusing on what you can control, yourself. And in that shift, you become the rare, untouchable man who does not just survive the winter, but who understands it is a necessary part of the cycle that makes the spring so much sweeter. That is how you win. Not by changing her, but by mastering yourself.